It begins with a simple throwaway account, created for a single purpose and destined to vanish within 24 hours. The username, Naruto, random, designed for anonymity. The post title sounds innocent enough. Finally have the guts to say it. But the content shocks readers. A confession bear meme with text claiming, "My sister had an abusive, substance addict boyfriend. I ended him with his own substances while he was unconscious and they ruled it as an overdose." The words appeared suddenly on Reddit's/Advice Animals subreddit on April 6, 2013, and what followed was digital chaos. Within hours, hundreds of comments accumulated. Amateur sleuths began connecting dots. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the post and account were deleted, but not before dozens of screenshots were taken, preserving what might be evidence of a crime, or perhaps just an ill-conceived internet hoax. Welcome to Vanishing Threads. Today we're exploring one of the internet's most unsettling phenomena, online homicide confessions. In an age where the line between digital fiction and reality grows increasingly blurred, these cases force us to confront uncomfortable questions. What happens when someone confesses to a serious crime online? How do authorities determine credibility? And what drives people to share their darkest secrets with internet strangers? The internet provides both anonymity and audience, a paradoxical combination that has made platforms like Reddit unwitting repositories for some of humanity's darkest secrets. Among these digital confessionals, certain posts stand out, leaving readers and authorities to wonder, is this a creative writing exercise or something much more concerning? Before we continue, a note on today's content. This episode deals with discussions of serious criminal activity. While we've approached this subject with appropriate restraint and focus primarily on the internet phenomenon rather than graphic details, viewer and listener discretion is advised. The Naruto case from 2013 stands as one of the most widely discussed possible homicide confessions in Reddit history. When user Naruto posted the confession bear meme about ending his sister's boyfriend with substances, the post quickly gained attention across the platform. What makes this case particularly interesting was the community's response. Rather than simply commenting, users began investigating. According to reporting from the Daily Dot and other news outlets that covered the incident, fellow Redditors uncovered details from Naruto's post history and quickly compiled personal information, including his name, date of birth, occupation, location, and social media accounts. Eventually, he was identified as 24-year-old Colton Goodbrand with ties to San Diego. This doxing happened despite Reddit's policies against sharing personal information. Faced with this sudden exposure, Naruto responded, "If I had $1 for every time someone took me seriously on the internet, I would be able to retire from today alone. I'm sorry to anyone that I've offended to the point of ruining their lives. If you want to catch a fatal act, get out of your house, put on some tights, and go fight crime." He later posted a second confession bear stating, "If you joke about homicide on Reddit without a throwaway account, you're gonna have a bad time." He also claimed, "There is some truth behind it, but I'm not saying what was true and what wasn't." Despite his claims that it was a joke, the confession was reported to law enforcement. According to ABC News, the San Diego Police Department's cold case unit investigated the claim. Lieutenant Kevin Mayer told ABC News, "This may be a hoax and it may be real. We received a tip and our cold case unit is investigating it like any other tip. It may be a hoax, but it's always a good idea to report this kind of information. Sometimes it's the one thing that breaks open a case." Fueling speculation, Goodbrand deleted his Reddit account along with his Facebook and other social media profiles. In April 2013, he emailed Gawker Media, who had published an article identifying him, confirming he made the post but denying its truthfulness. "I did indeed make the post on Reddit, but that doesn't make it true." He described the claim that he unalived someone as a rumor that he himself had started. The Naruto case ultimately appears to have been a hoax, but it demonstrates how online platforms create unique challenges for law enforcement when investigating potential confessions. The anonymity of the internet makes verification difficult, while the public nature of these platforms means evidence can quickly be compromised by amateur investigators. This Reddit confession is far from the only instance where social media posts have raised serious legal concerns. Several real cases demonstrate the increasingly blurred line between online activity and real-world criminal investigations. In 2017, a truly tragic case unfolded when 24-year-old Aga Hassan of Hamilton, Ontario, was charged in connection with the death of his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old Melinda Vasilier. After fleeing to the United States, Hassan apparently created a Reddit account named ReddersBlue101 and posted a lengthy explanation titled, "Wanted for Kitchener, Homicide. My Side." The post included details about their relationship and events that weren't publicly known. The Reddit confession remained online for several days before being deleted. Waterloo Regional Police confirmed they were aware of the post and were investigating its authenticity. Hassan remained on the run for nearly 3 months before being arrested in Texas during a traffic stop. In January 2023, after pleading guilty to second-degree homicide, he was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 16 years. The case demonstrated how social media can be used by suspects not just to confess, but to attempt to control the narrative around their crimes. An even more disturbing case occurred in November 2014, when David Kalak ended the life of his girlfriend, 30-year-old Amber Coplin, in their Port Orchard, Washington apartment. What made this case particularly shocking was that Kalak posted photographs of Coplin's body to the image board 4chan, along with the message, "Turns out it's way harder to strangle someone to a fatal end than it looks on the movies." He warned that the images would be on the news soon and stated his plan to evade police until they found him and potentially ended him. Users initially thought the post was a hoax, but police soon confirmed they had found Coplin's body just as depicted in the images. After a manhunt, Kalak surrendered to police in Oregon. He was convicted of first-degree homicide in April 2017 and sentenced to 82 years in prison. The case highlighted the disturbing reality that some criminals now use social media not just to confess, but to broadcast their crimes. These cases raise important questions about how law enforcement evaluates the credibility of online confessions. According to research published in Frontiers in Psychology by forensic psychologist Gisli Gudjonsson, there are 3 main error pathways that can lead to false confessions: misclassification errors, where innocent people are mistakenly judged guilty; coercion errors, where psychological pressure leads to false confessions; and contamination errors, where details become corrupted in memory. In online contexts, these pathways become even more complex. Digital forensics experts must consider multiple factors when evaluating online confessions, including the technical aspects of the post, IP addresses, account history, metadata, and the psychological patterns evident in the language used. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit has established protocols for analyzing written statements, examining linguistic patterns that might indicate truthfulness or deception. While specific details of these techniques remain confidential, research has shown that genuine confessions often contain certain hallmarks. They typically include specific sensory details, logistical complications, and unexpected tangential information that fiction writers might not anticipate. Law enforcement agencies face significant challenges when investigating online confessions. Jurisdiction becomes complicated when the poster, potential victim, and platform are in different locations. Digital evidence can be quickly deleted or altered, and the volume of content makes separating credible threats from fiction incredibly difficult. Professor Elizabeth Loftus, a leading expert on memory and false confessions at the University of California, has demonstrated through decades of research how easily memories can be distorted or even implanted. Her work suggests that in high-pressure situations, some individuals may come to believe they committed acts they didn't, a phenomenon that could potentially extend to online confessions made in moments of extreme emotional distress. For platform moderators and administrators, These incidents raise difficult questions about the limits of free expression, their responsibilities when hosting potentially criminal content, and the challenges of cooperating with law enforcement while protecting user privacy. Reddit's policies have evolved over time in response to such incidents. The platform maintains a general prohibition against content that encourages, glorifies, incites, or calls for violence, and cooperates with valid government requests for information, but typically requires formal legal process before providing user data to authorities. What makes the phenomenon of online confessions particularly fascinating is how it transforms age-old human behaviors. Confession has deep historical and cultural roots across human societies. From religious confessionals to public declarations of guilt, humans have long sought mechanisms to unburden themselves of secrets. Digital platforms have created new spaces for this impulse, spaces that are simultaneously anonymous yet public, ephemeral yet permanent, intimate yet disconnected. Dr. Michael Cito, a forensic psychologist and expert on online behavior at the Royal Ottawa Healthcare Group, has studied how the internet can facilitate both problematic and criminal behavior. His research suggests that the perceived anonymity of online spaces can create a sense of disinhibition, where users feel more comfortable sharing thoughts they would never express face-to-face. This online disinhibition effect, first described by psychologist John Suler, may help explain why some individuals choose to confess to serious crimes on public platforms. Looking toward the future, new technologies will likely create additional challenges for evaluating online statements. As artificial intelligence advances, distinguishing between human-generated confessions and machine-generated content may become increasingly difficult for both platform moderators and law enforcement. Besides the high-profile cases we've discussed, there's an entire ecosystem of online confession spaces that have emerged across the digital landscape. Platforms like the Whisper app, launched in 2012, were specifically designed to facilitate anonymous confessions. These platforms promise users the ability to share secrets without revealing their identities, creating digital confessional booths that blend the intimacy of disclosure with the distance of anonymity. Whisper itself has been at the center of numerous investigations. In one notable 2014 case, a user posted, "I just ended a man," along with an image that appeared to show a body. The post ultimately led to a real investigation, though the platform's design, which prioritizes anonymity and ephemerality, created significant challenges for investigators attempting to trace the confession to its source. This tension between anonymity and accountability remains unresolved across much of the internet. The same features that allow vulnerable individuals to seek support without fear of judgment also create spaces where malicious actors can operate with reduced consequences. For platform designers and policymakers, striking the right balance is an ongoing challenge. Law enforcement agencies have developed increasingly sophisticated approaches to evaluating digital evidence. FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Fitzgerald, who helped pioneer forensic linguistics as an investigative tool, has described how linguistic analysis can reveal unexpected details about writers, including their age, education level, and familiarity with specific professional jargon. These techniques have been successfully employed in numerous cases, though they remain most effective when combined with traditional investigative methods. The International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists, IACIS, has established protocols for handling digital evidence that emphasize preserving the chain of custody and documenting all interactions with electronic data. These standards have become increasingly important as courts face questions about the admissibility of social media posts and other digital content. One particularly complex aspect of online confessions is determining jurisdiction. When a confession appears online, who has the authority to investigate? Is it the location of the server hosting the content? The location of the person who posted it? The location where the alleged crime occurred? These questions have led to increasing international cooperation among law enforcement agencies, though significant barriers to cross-border investigations remain. For the platforms themselves, content moderation policies must balance competing priorities, protecting users from harmful content while preserving freedom of expression, cooperating with legitimate law enforcement requests while safeguarding user privacy, creating safe spaces for vulnerable communities while preventing exploitation of those same spaces. Reddit's own approach has evolved significantly since the Naruto case. The platform now employs a combination of automated tools and human moderators to identify potentially concerning content, and it has developed more nuanced policies around privacy and law enforcement cooperation. While the platform still values free expression, it has gradually moved toward more active content moderation in response to a series of high-profile incidents. These evolving policies reflect broader societal debates about digital speech. Should online platforms be treated as publishers responsible for the content they host, or as neutral infrastructure providers? Should content moderation decisions be guided primarily by community standards, legal requirements, or some combination of both? The answers to these questions continue to shape how we experience and regulate digital spaces. The psychological impact of viewing disturbing confessions online extends beyond those directly involved in the cases. Research by Dr. Pam Ramsden at the University of Bradford has demonstrated that repeated exposure to violent imagery and descriptions online can lead to symptoms similar to PTSD, even among individuals who have no direct connection to the events described. This secondary trauma raises important questions about the psychological consequences of our increasingly connected digital lives. For those who monitor potentially dangerous online content, including law enforcement officers, content moderators, and researchers, the risk of vicarious trauma is significant. Organizations like the Dart Center for Journalism and Trauma have developed guidelines to help these professionals minimize psychological harm while performing necessary work. Another phenomenon related to online confessions is what researchers call digital self-harm, cases where individuals post threatening or abusive content about themselves while posing as others. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Adolescent Health found that approximately 6% of American teens had anonymously posted cruel content about themselves online. This behavior can sometimes include false confessions designed to attract attention or sympathy. Distinguished from digital self-harm are cases of factitious disorder imposed on self, formerly known as Munchausen syndrome, where individuals fabricate or exaggerate illness or trauma for psychological reasons. In online contexts, this can manifest as elaborate false narratives, including fictional confessions to crimes. These cases present particular challenges for investigators trying to distinguish genuine confessions from fabrications. The spectrum of authenticity in online confessions is further complicated by trolling behavior, deliberately provocative posts designed to elicit emotional reactions. Separating sincere confessions from trolling attempts requires careful analysis of both content and context, skills that internet users themselves are increasingly developing as part of digital literacy. For journalists covering potential online confessions, ethical guidelines from organizations like the Society of Professional Journalists emphasize verifying information before reporting, minimizing harm, and considering the potential impact of amplifying unverified claims. These standards become particularly important when dealing with content that could be evidence of serious crimes. As machine learning and artificial intelligence advance, new tools for analyzing digital content are emerging. Natural language processing algorithms can now identify patterns in text that might indicate deception, emotional distress, or specific psychological states. While these tools remain imperfect, they offer potential assistance to human analysts evaluating large volumes of online content. Looking ahead, the emergence of deepfakes and other synthetic media poses new challenges for evaluating online confessions. As technology makes it increasingly difficult to distinguish authentic content from sophisticated forgeries, our traditional methods for establishing credibility may require fundamental rethinking. Despite all these complexities and uncertainties, one thing remains clear: the boundary between our online and offline lives continues to blur. What happens in digital spaces has real consequences, whether those consequences involve law enforcement investigations, psychological impacts on individuals, or broader social effects on how we understand truth and identity. The story of the Reddit confession from 2013 may lack a satisfying resolution, but it serves as a powerful reminder of how the internet has transformed even the most ancient of human impulses: the desire to confess, to be witnessed, to unburden ourselves of our secrets. And it forces us to consider what it means when those confessions exist, not in the ephemeral moment of spoken words, but in the persistent digital archives of our online world. As we navigate these digital spaces, as users, creators, moderators, and observers, we're collectively establishing new norms around privacy, truth, and accountability. The questions raised by online confessions don't have simple answers, but exploring them helps us better understand not just the internet, but ourselves and the societies we're building, both online and off. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious, stay safe,